Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday service, August 8, 2021. This will be an unusual service for many reasons. For one thing, this will be the beginning of the settled ministry of our new minister, Reverend Nick Filzen. This morning we'll be having our water communion and in-gathering. On the table, especially for those of you who are new, we have a bowl and you see a mason jar. That mason jar is from 2015, 6 years ago, maybe the last boring year that we can even remember before all of this happened. That water is us. That water is evidence of us together as a spiritual tribe and a family. And today, we gather our water together to remind ourselves that this is us.
Good morning. I'm Alan George. I'm president of the Board of Trustees, and I have some announcements, quite a few as a matter of fact. First of all, welcome to our visitors. If this is the first time you are with us, please take a look at the seat pocket in front of you. There should be a blue card, and we'd like you to fill it out. And after the service, take it down the hallway to our visitors table and leave it there for us to help us keep track of you and communicate with you and to welcome you. If this is your first time, if you would rise in body or spirit and tell us your name, that will help us welcome you as well. Do we have any visitors?
I'd like to still consider myself a visitor. My name is Andy, and this is our third time here, me and Stephanie.
Welcome, Andy. Welcome. Due to the COVID Delta variant, the church is returning to phase 4 of the church's reopening guidelines. In short, at indoor gatherings and services, masks and social distancing are required for everyone over the age of 2, regardless of vaccination status. There will be no drinking or eating indoors at the church to ensure everyone remains masked, and further details are in your e-announcements. Okay, now for the real announcements. The youth group will have their first in-person meeting of the new church year today at 4 p.m. A Zoom option can be arranged by contacting Reverend Kim Miner. The Humanist Free Thought group will have a hybrid meeting today at 5. And unlike previous meetings, this meeting will happen in rooms 1 and 2 in the family ministry wing. Contact Frank Carl for details. He's sitting in the back with his hand up. The Women's Lunch Group will have a 10 o'clock brunch gathering on Tuesday, August 10th on the patio at Bodega Ultima in Surrey Center. The patio does have fans, I'm told. So please RSVP with Pat Lynch-Hayes, and she will make a reservation. Let her know today if you're going to be able to attend. The monthly worship team meeting will take place on Zoom Tuesday, August 10th at 6 p.m. We're looking for some more collaborative and co-creative people to join this integral program. To worship or worth shape is simply to shape and consider that which has worth. If you're interested in being a part of shaping our lives together here, then this team will be a great fit for you. And please speak with either Jezebel Annette or Reverend Nick. The UU Goddess Group will hold its monthly meeting on Zoom this Thursday, August 12th at 6 p.m. The Zoom link has recently changed, so contact Jezebel Annette for details. Next Sunday, there'll be a parents group meeting, August 15th at 12:15 p.m., and Reverend Kim will be organizing that. If you're interested in helping the family ministry program, we are seeking a few more volunteers to fully staff our reopened program. So please talk to Reverend Kim. Did you know we have a rummage sale and wine pull fundraiser coming up? Come browse relics from the RE past after the service next week and also on August 22nd, and donate from your heart. There will be a $15 per bottle suggested minimum donation for the wine pull fundraiser as well. So those are both happening at the same time. Wine pull in the common area, and in rooms 3 and 4 will be the rummage sale, 2 Sundays. And finally, today is Don and Betty Hostetler's 69th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. I think they're watching on Zoom. As always, remember to look in the weekly announcements and the UUCA public calendar online for details and contact information. And now I just have to say that what a stroke of luck that I get to be board president when we have our new minister joining our congregation. I couldn't be happier. So we're excited to begin a new chapter of our church life as we welcome Reverend Nick Filzen as our minister. Reverend Nick has been in fellowship as a UU minister since 2020 and was ordained in March 2021 by the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg in Florida and the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara. He and his wife, Janaea, recently moved here from Santa Barbara, California, and we celebrate their arrival. Today, August 8th, is also the anniversary of this church opening in 1954. And how fitting that it helps us tie the past and the future together.
The spirit of life surges through our interconnected web of beginnings and endings, bringing us changes and possibilities and new challenges. For over a year, we have navigated the rough waters of a global pandemic and social unrest. We are still filled with uncertainty. Yet we are here together, physically and virtually, in and for this church that has already seen and embraced so much change. We give thanks for all of those who have founded and built and sustained this community of faith for many years past, and those who will shape the future to come, many of you in this room. We welcome and honor our new minister and his family and all that they will bring to the living tradition we share. It is a time to renew our hope, rekindle our dreams, and gather our wisdom, comfort, and courage for the days ahead. And we have a special welcome gift. We offer this plant with the wish that Reverend Nick and his family will take root and flourish here. And Chris will tell you about this plant.
This is a plant that crashed to the earth in a meteor about 2 years ago. We don't know what it does.
Truth and meaning.
Truth and meaning.
Yeah.
All right, truth. All right. Tells the truth. This is a carnivorous plant. That's not a comment on you.
Okay.
All right. And this is a tropical plant. It has pitchers that look like beautiful Grecian urns. And it grows and grows and grows, and may it grow with you.
Thank you so much.
Also, and there's more.
Speak right into the mic.
Yeah. We were talking about pens. This is the beginning of a part of your journey as a peaceful warrior of words and ideas and values. This is your samurai sword, which I would like to present to you from me. This is an Estabrook Series 6. It was made 70 years ago, and it's as bright and working well as it was the day it was made.
Oh, welcome.
And it has ink. Yes. All right.
I'm going to give this to Janaea to hold. Thank you so much.
Put this.
Good morning, everyone. Am I unmuted? Good morning, everyone. I'd like to invite you all to sing with me on our first hymn, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. It's hymn number 1007 in your teal hymnal, and of course we'll have the lyrics up on the screens as well. You're invited to sing with us, masks on of course, which I know is not ideal for singing, so if you'd like to hum instead, that is certainly an option. But please sing along, and may rivers flow in our souls each and every day. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. Let's do soul one more time, David. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Water by Paul Neruda. Everything on the earth bristled. The bramble pricked, and the green thread nibbled away. The petal fell, falling until only the flower was the falling itself. Water is another matter. It has no direction, but its own bright grace, runs through all imaginable colors, takes limpid lessons from stone, and in those functions played out the unrealization ambitions of the foam.
Yesterday, I had a chance to volunteer at the Miller Theater for the first time in 2 years, and it was packed to the walls. Before I go to work at the Miller, because it's a long shift, you need a lot of physical energy, I always have a thing of getting a hamburger and a beer before I go. And I was at Farmhouse, staring out on 12th Street with my beer and my burger. And I just kind of let my mind drift, and I thought of all the things that had happened on that street in front of me. Native Americans and wild game, Revolutionary War, enslaved peoples and free walking down that street, Confederate soldiers, World War I, World War II, textile workers getting off shift, catching the trolley and going down to the entertainment district. All of that history, the old building in front of me and all that it had seen. I listened to the voices of all the people sitting around me, young people and old people together, black people and white people together, all those boundaries coming down in our lifetime. All that life just flowing around me. I had a friend once who was depressed when I was in high school. She had to go to like a hospital for a while. She told me that when she felt bad, she would stand on a bridge and watch the leaves passing under the bridge, and it made her feel better. And all the voices and all the memories, all the things that were floating around me, all these little dramas. I felt like a leaf on that river, and all the people were leaves. And all the ghosts of all the things that had happened on that street were like leaves floating downstream. Everything changes. I had the privilege of seeing kids here who were in Sunday school right around 2015. Now they're becoming young women and young men. I see new little kids here. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll have a chance to see how they turn out. I wish them all well. This place is us. The water is evidence of that. This place is us. This is our spiritual tribe and our spiritual family. This is a place to grow. And it's a place where you can grow in the way that you want to grow, in the way that belongs to you. Your spiritual journey. You need to take care of that journey. And now's your chance to do that. Well, the ushers, if any, please come forward. These are the words of Norbert Chapik, who was the initiator of the very first water communion. Whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do the good work of this congregation. For your generosity, we thank you.
You know, this whole sermon today is about great expectations and rather actually not quite meeting those expectations. And I've already done that today by missing the bell. So I'm going to ring the bell now. Growing up, I was always really excited about the beginning of each school year. I had so many great expectations. Do any of our adults here remember having that feeling, that kind of expectancy? Did you think maybe, I'm going to make the basketball team this year? Or maybe I'm going to be homecoming queen? Perhaps some of our younger folks are having those feelings right now, maybe not the super young folks. Perhaps you had so much excitement and confidence, and you were thinking, this is the year my whole life will finally have meaning, and I'll make it to the big time. And of course, we all know that big time really peaks in school. For me, whether for school or not, this feeling has always been especially strong for years that mark the end of one chapter and the beginning of the next. There was one year that had both for me in a really, really big way. Late in the summer of 2001, I was accepted to Interlochen Arts Academy, which is a private high school for the arts up in Upper Michigan, world-renowned. And I was very privileged to go there to study trumpet for just my senior year of high school. This was my last year of high school, and I'm going to head off to another school. A senior year, which was to begin in just a few weeks. After a short discernment period with my mom, who's piping in with us from Illinois today, we decided that I was going to leave behind my previous high school, my friends, my home, and my life as it had been, and go to a boarding school 8 hours away for the last year of my youth. It was a year full of opportunity, possibility, and change, and yes, I had some huge expectations. When I arrived there on a Saturday to move into the dorm, I was pretty cocky and was sure I'd be the best trumpet player there. I was very confident. Nobody can be as good as me. But within minutes, I heard my soon-to-be good friend Gabe practicing trumpet in one of the dorm basement practice rooms, and I thought, holy cow, I am out of my league. This guy is world class, and he's in high school. Very quickly, my expectations for myself were starting to unravel just a little bit. Imposter syndrome kicked in big time. Now, I may have actually been feeling a little bit of that this morning, but I'm going to be vulnerable with you on that. But then on the official first day of my senior year of high school, just a few days later, on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, my expectations, along with those of most people in the world, at least in this country, weren't just defied, they were defiled. In a little over a month from now, that will be 20 years ago. And the impact of that day continues to radiate around the world. After that horrific day, not to mention all the daily headlines throughout the last year and a half that seem to be worse and worse, it's a little harder to trust expectations. The glass house of certainty, of relative safety and moral high ground the U.S. has always tried to present to the world began crashing down along with those towers. And Yet perhaps it was this day of overwhelming tragedy and the unsuccessful and costly overreaction by our government for most of the time since. President Biden only recently withdrew the remainder of the troops from Afghanistan, for better or for worse. There's some news about that this morning that was troubling. This was a day which opened many of our eyes to many of the tremendous challenges the U.S. creates and faces, and always has. But no single event is ever the only cause of anything. Yet of all the things that have happened in my relatively short life, this is the one that seems to have had the largest ripple effect on the world. The murder of George Floyd last summer is a close second. Without negating the immense pain and trauma that arose from the ashes of a Pennsylvania field, a Pentagon, 2 towers, and almost 2 decades of war and the cost of life in the Middle East, something else has emerged too. Yes, some of the worst behavior by U.S. residents and presidents has been more public and unapologetic recently, while some of the best behavior has also been amplified. Some among you, actually, doing great work here in Augusta. We saw this juxtaposition even more with the election of Donald Trump, the so-called Trump bump of progressive activism. For example, my class at Meadville Lombard was the largest ever because it was the year after he was elected. But going back 20 years, before 9/11, there was a general naivety and laissez-faire attitude throughout the country with some notable outliers, some of you, as I mentioned. Even though the direction of our country now, though, and the world continues to often seem bleak, I feel like there's an amazing insurrection of good happening too. Despite our great expectations for ourselves, we're moving toward wholeness. At the beginning of my second year of seminary at Meadville Lombard, as I mentioned, the whole Meadville community discussed how we're amid an apocalypse. To avoid confusion, apocalypse is merely Greek for unveiling or revelation. You may have heard that word before. Not the end of the world story usually associated with that word. That said, it is plausible that the end of the world, or at least human life on this world, is near too if we don't take some drastic steps to slow down the warming of the planet. But I digress. What was specifically meant by apocalypse in our seminary context is while old political, cultural, and social systems and behaviors are currently imploding, new and transforming systems and behaviors are currently, that resemble something like beloved community, are emerging from the rubble. For me, there's tremendous hope in the word apocalypse. Whether we're within an apocalypse or not, this country, this world, and its inhabitants are different since 9/11. We're different since yesterday, but that's another sermon. Or at least the major underlying issues the U.S. has always had have been more fully revealed. And because of that exposure, that revelation, as a society, we're transforming rather rapidly. I honestly have faith that we're transforming for the better. An apocalypse, as I understand it, isn't just for society, though. It can happen at smaller scales, too, all the way down to the individual. A few days after 9/11, and a week after arriving in Interlochen, my new life, I broke my right hand, which required surgery. I still have a metal plate in there today. As you may know, when playing trumpet, you use your right hand to press the valves. I had to play trumpet left-handed for 10 weeks at a school I had just uprooted my life to attend to study trumpet, which wasn't ideal. My mom, again, who's piping in today, I understand it was about ready to drive up from Illinois and give me the business. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect to break my hand. This year at Interlochen was already not going as planned, to say the least. Later that year, I wrote an imagined future biography of myself for this great class there called Destiny and World Literature. I had some big expectations for myself in that biography, none of which are anywhere close to being correct now. In fact, that biography proved wrong quite quickly. My girlfriend at the time, Allie, who I envisioned would be my future wife in that assignment, broke up with me just days after I turned it in. I was devastated as only a broken-hearted teen can be. Nothing seemed to go right that year. None of my expectations were met, and yet, I still consider my year at Interlochen one of the most important and transformative of my life. It sucks when expectations aren't met. Period. No doubt about it. I certainly don't look forward to unmet expectations. Yet, expectations often aren't met. I can't wallow in those negative experiences. I try to strike a balance between validating my grief of missing the mark on expectations, an almost constant occurrence, you've seen it happen a few times today already, and be aware of how I developed nonetheless. Likewise, even in pain, I can't give up on expectations. I can't give up on vision, on hope, on enthusiasm. If I'm looking back at some of the pain that year at Interlochen, figurative and literal, with 2021 hindsight, I transformed a lot, double meaning intended. One of the most transformative changes was an increased sense of and appreciation for connection and community. And I was super fortunate it was with folks interested in adding beauty and goodness in this world. Because of my own plight, I also gained some empathy for people who go through hard times. I started to see the world didn't, in fact, revolve around me, when that wasn't necessarily my previous understanding. As a human who grew up in a white-dominated Western society, I still work on this every day. My senior year of high school, I spent 9 months with a group of entirely new people and came away with some of the strongest, most rich, and rewarding relationships of my life. Friendships that remain strong to this day. Many of my closest friends who continue to love and challenge me 20 years later are still from my short time there. My year at Interlochen was much less about learning how to play trumpet, an instrument I hardly play anymore, at least for the time being, and instead a year of personal and relational development. It was faith formation. I didn't expect this, and yet I am so glad it happened. I hope my whole life continues to provide me with opportunities to transform, connect, and reconnect when needed. That I'm always open to faith formation, even and especially through a lifelong habit of making mistakes or things not going as expected. Giving myself grace, and then developing, growing, deepening through those mistakes. A new me emerging every time. I think that's part of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. A perpetual openness to revelation, to apocalypse. Or, as a trusted friend once said to me, we UUs accept that we're always becoming. As I began my ministerial career in earnest here with you, I don't presume I know everything there is to know. I don't presume I'll have certainty really about anything, let alone how life works. Maybe just a few more hints after seminary, my internship, and 2 short sabbatical ministries, in addition to my earlier careers in music. But I'm far less cocky than I was when I first arrived in Interlochen. I don't presume I'll be some mistake-free or responsibility-free father, priest character with unaccountable authority. That isn't what we do here at UU. This is all why I was so excited about a recent simple yet important language change by the Unitarian Universalist Association. At General Assembly 2 years ago in Spokane, Washington, UU delegates from around the country voted to change what the culmination of the institutional ministerial development process is called, from final fellowship to full fellowship. Final has a connotation of it's done. I've learned all the things, now I have power. It's inaccurate and problematic. Full is a symbol to me that is like a cup or jar full of water. Sure, when it's full, you can't add any more to that cup or jar, but you can certainly keep adding cups. And share what's in those cups with others to make room for more, mixing new water to your own cup shared by others. Are you getting the connection? I once again find myself turning the page to a new chapter. Hopefully one much, much longer than the year I spent at Interlochen. Just like when I was younger and starting a new year in grade school or high school, I'm elated to get started and learn with you all. Serve with you all. And I have great expectations. I look forward to our shared faith formation process with excitement and enthusiasm, regardless of whether it's what I expect. I hope you'll join me in relishing this process of apocalypse and revelation, of becoming, even if, no, especially if, your expectations and mine aren't met. As Unitarian Universalists, as humans, may our transformation and development in our own separate lives, within this community of communities here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta and throughout the world, always be full, yet never final. Let us now celebrate this new beginning and our great expectations with a communion of water.
We speak about the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. We shall pause to recognize and celebrate the most basic element of this interdependent web, water.
Water has been an important symbol throughout human history simply because it points to a fundamental truth. Without water, there is no life.
From the oceans of the earth, we bring these waters. They have been to the depths of the earth and crashed with the surf on countless beaches.
From the rivers of the earth, we bring these waters. They have flowed swiftly and endlessly from the beginnings of time.
From the lakes of the earth, we bring these waters to mingle. Their still beauty reflects the sky.
Go ahead, Chris.
From the Muskogee Creek, Westo, Yamasee, and all the First Nations peoples who for millennia were stewards of these sacred waters and their lands.
From the rain and snow, these waters come to quench the thirst of all living things.
From the springs and streams whose waters renew the oceans and the rivers and lakes, we bring these waters. Emerging from the earth in the hills and the mountains, they give promise of new energy and new life.
We now invite you, each of you, to come forward to pour your life-giving water into the bowl as a symbol of the water flowing through your own stories, literally through this land on which we live, enriching your life, connecting you to all life on this planet, connecting each of our individual stories into a shared story of stories. As you pour the water into the bowl, into this large chalice, I invite you to recite these words, which are included in your order of service and on the monitors to help you remember. From the street on which you live to this water of waters, this story of stories. For example, I would say, from Ridgewood Drive to this water of waters, this story of stories. Since we're now in a hybrid world, for those of you joining us via Zoom, you'll have a chance to share also, and we'll pour water for you from our 2015 In Gathering Water. Similarly, if you didn't bring water today, fret not. We have water for you to pour as well, connecting us even more to the past, to our ancestors, to our roots. If you haven't already done so, please start joining this line that Chris has started here. And the greeters will kind of invite you when to come up. First, we'll start with folks to your left, and then we'll go center and then right. If you've already started going, that's fine. Expectations, right? Our greeters, Lynn and Frank Dennison, will let you know when to join the line from the other rooms. May our water communion commence. Natalie, if you would invite the folks from home now to share, and I'll pour the water for them.
I'll lead us off from the confluence of the Augusta Canal to where it flows back into the Savannah River near my home on Springwood Drive. To this water of waters, the story continues. And I see Marika's hand, and I remind others to go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll call on you next.
Make sure that folks are unmuted.
This is Marika Bhattacharya. This water is from my home at 123 Savannah Point. My husband and I got our last vaccine in March, which meant that we could, for the first time in a long time, visit our grandkids in Massachusetts. When we told him we were all set, he burst into tears. He's an ID doctor working with the patients who are suffering from COVID, especially back in March. And so this is water signifying the tears that he shed of joy that we would be able to visit again. Thank you. This story of stories to this water of waters.
Moira.
This is Moira from Harlem, Georgia, on the street 218 Kelly Green. And from this street to this water of waters, the story of stories. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to share? I think that does it for Zoom.
Bless this well of combined waters. May it continue to offer us life throughout the year and beyond. May we continue to offer life to each other throughout this year and beyond.
I feel the motion.
then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water, bubbling toward its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers run to the sea. Today you brought water, poured it into a common cup. Though our experiences have differed, these waters mingle, signifying our common humanity. Today you came and shared in this sacred community. May you depart with hearts filled with hope and great expectations for new beginnings, a fresh start. Go forth, but return to this community where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles, where your cup runneth over, where deep in your heart you have found in this place a home. All rivers run to the sea.